Hi there, it's Craig here. I'm just sitting here enjoying my nice glass of Inmate Brew, made from just fruit juice I bought from the grocery store, and it's got about 10% alcohol. Catching a little buzz off of it, actually. It's really good stuff. I did a video on this before, and I want to do another video, show you how I made this, because this is good, and it works every single time. The old way I was doing it's a little bit unreliable. I got some information from a friend of mine who gave me some tips, and now it's working. Thank you, Murden. Awesome. Wow. Watch that stuff, boy. Anyway, I want to talk to you today about something that I experienced the other day, and I've experienced in almost all my life. And I think it's extremely amazing when it happens. It's called lucid dreaming. Now, there's a lot of information online and videos on YouTube about this, and yeah, I mean, go out and look for it. But I want to tell you some of my experiences with this, and I'll tell you what it is. Lucid dreams are dreams that you have, that you're aware that you're dreaming. And once you're aware that you're dreaming, you let go of the inhibitions that you have in normal everyday life that tell you can't do this, you can't do that. You let go of those, and you basically can do anything you want. If you can harness the ability to have lucid dreams, I'm telling you, the possibilities are endless. You can do anything you want in these dreams, and you can quite reliably create the dreams if you become good at it. You can actually control when you have them. I can't quite do that yet, but when I do have these dreams, I know what's going on. I know how to keep them intact as long as possible, and how to control them and do just about anything you want. So let me go back to a time when I was a child, and I was lying in my bed after being awake for a little while during the night, and I started to feel kind of dizzy. And then I started to sort of feel like I was fainting or falling. And I noticed that I couldn't move anymore. I was totally paralyzed, and this was terrifying. And I noticed it only ever happened when I slept on my back. So I learned later on that if I slept on my side, this wouldn't happen. And if I started having this experience, I would just move and switch to sleeping on one of my sides, and then it wouldn't happen. So that's the first thing you might want to think about when you're trying to do this is try to sleep on your back. So then I noticed that I couldn't move. I was paralyzed. I basically thought I was dying, because it does feel like you're falling out of existence. And so I would struggle to wake myself up, and it was a real struggle to do that. I was trying to move my head around, trying to move my legs, anything just to jar myself out of this sort of intermediate stage of sleep, or whatever it was, this conscious stage of sleep. You're basically asleep, but you know you're asleep, and you're conscious. And it's the scariest thing if you don't know what's going on. So I fought with this for years. I even wrote a story about it when I was in grade 3. And I thought it was, I called it insomnia, because I didn't know what insomnia was back then. I just figured it was a sleep disorder, and I thought that insomnia is a sleep disorder, so I just named it insomnia. But I described it in a story that I wrote back then. And then I talked to one of my relatives, my aunt, about it, my Aunt Barb. And she had the same experiences. So now I knew that it was a natural thing, whatever it was, but we just weren't sure what it was. And Aunt Barb, if you're watching this video, maybe this is the time where you're going to learn what this is, if you still have these experiences, because we talked about this quite some time ago. So about 5 or 6 years ago, I decided, you know what? I mean, I know this is going to sound kind of, I don't know, weird, but I decided, you know what? I've had this all my life, this phenomenon. I don't know what it is. I've had all the kids I'm ever going to have. I've done my, duties in life, basically, up to this point. If I die, then it's my time to go. I want to see what this thing is. I want to know what's going on. right? So I decided to, next time it happened, I decided to just let it ride and not fight it. Well, here's what happened. Wow. That's good stuff. Here's what happened. The experience I had was this. I felt the sinking, falling feeling, the paralyzed feeling, and it's like being on a ride where you kind of don't know where you're going next, a ride in the dark. You really don't know what's next. It feels like you're heading down, waiting for the first hill, kind of, you just don't know. And then all of a sudden, I woke up. This is the experience I had, okay? I woke up. And I sat up. And I looked around the room. And I looked at the clock, and I looked at other things. And it wasn't... things were different. First of all, it wasn't my clock radio. It wasn't my white clock radio that I have. It was this brown old thing that I used to have when I was a kid. That, plus, it was nighttime. It wasn't daytime, because I was napping at this point. This was in the afternoon when this happened. And so I got up, and I started to walk out of the bedroom, and I realized I was dreaming. And I knew at this point that I wasn't actually walking around. I was still in my bed, but in my mind, I was up walking around. And it's... People, I'm telling you, this is so real that you really have to, you've got to check to make sure it's a dream. That's how real this feels. The first thing I think about doing when I know it's a dream is flying. I think that's one of the most obvious things that we know we can't do while we're in this world. So, of course, if we're dreaming, we can do anything we want. So I looked at the stairs and the railing and the stairs going down the stairs, and I thought, well, I'm just going to jump over that railing there and fly down the stairs. Well, I thought to myself, yeah, but what if this isn't a dream? I'm going to kill myself, because that's how real this is. It's incredible. It's so real. So what I did was what I call the jump test. If you've ever flown in your dreams, you know how to do it. You know what causes yourself to fly in your dreams. Whatever method you use, I flap my hands like this, and and I start flying. So what I do when I think I might be having a lucid dream, what I did this time is I jumped and flapped my hands. If I stayed in the air, I knew I was dreaming. And then the possibilities were endless. I jumped over the railing, I flew down the stairs, I flew into the living room, I was up around the ceiling, looking all over down across the living room, and I decided, hey, I'm gonna go outside. So I set myself down, I went and I opened the front door, and I went outside and I started flying around all over the place. It was absolutely, and it was my neighborhood. It was incredible. Eventually, about 45 seconds later, the dream, I lost it. It ended. And I woke up and I was absolutely amazed. I thought, oh my God, all these years that I've been trying to prevent this from happening. And here it is. It's this wonderful, and you wake up and you feel so peaceful, and you've had this experience, and you just can't believe it. So that's what a lucid dream is like. Now, sometimes it doesn't start when you fall asleep like it does with me. Sometimes it starts in the middle of a dream where you just, all of a sudden you think, wait, that doesn't look normal. What? Oh, and then you find out you're dreaming. And then it's like, oh, I'm dreaming, and then you can do whatever you want. You have to be careful you don't wake yourself up, though, because once you get excited about the fact that you're dreaming and you know you are, you can lose it really fast. So I've started having this experience quite often. And sometimes I'll go months without having it, and sometimes I'll have it, a few times a week. The other day, it was about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and I was tired, and I decided to go upstairs and have a snooze up in my bed. I wouldn't normally go to bed at that time. It's too early for me. But I just went up and lied on my back with one arm above my head, and I started having the feeling like I was being pulled, and I heard a humming sound in my head, and the humming sound changed pitch every time I was tugged. So it was like a like that. So, and at that point, okay, I know what's happening, so I just relax and I just let it happen. And I had 4 of these things in a row. 4 lucid dreams in this course of about half an hour, or maybe even 20 minutes. Each one of them, I got up, I walked outside, I flew around, I confronted people. One of them, I decided to take my clothes off and just go out naked outside. That would be a sight to see, wouldn't it? Yeah. But that's what I did. I thought, hey, that's something I would never do. I would never go outside and streak naked like that. That's what I did in this particular dream. And people were looking at me in the dream like, whoa, this guy's, it was incredible. These things are so real. It's unbelievable. If you can harness the ability to do this, you're going to feel like you've opened up a whole new part of your brain. Because dreaming in itself is an amazing thing. And if you look it up on YouTube, you'll find some amazing pieces of information about dreaming and what it's for and what it does, its function. But if you can enter into the state where you can control your dream and you can make it last a long time, as I've been able to do now. If I'm tired enough, I can actually make the thing last 10 or 15 minutes. And I'm in the dream, but was thinking to myself, my God, this thing's going on forever. Like, it's just never going to end. I'm flying down some road somewhere. I'm in a different city. I'm in a different country. I'm just wherever I want to be. When you're having a lucid dream, you can do anything you want. Maybe you want to try robbing a bank or something, or whatever. There's no consequences while you're dreaming. You can do it. You can do that and experience it. And you've got sensation. You've got the feeling of touch and smell, and vision. You're seeing. It's an incredible experience. It really is. So, some of the things that you can do to try to get yourself to be able to do this. First of all, look it up on YouTube. I mean, I'm only one source here. There's lots of other people telling you how to do this. But the main thing they're saying that you should be doing is keeping a journal of your dreams. So when you wake up, write your dreams, write them down, and keep track of it. Because what you're doing by doing that is you're recalling your dreams, you're writing them down, and you're going to be able to go back and find patterns. You're going to be able to study your dreams and study what happens in your dreams that you can then later recognize when you're dreaming and say, I wrote this down the other day. This is a dream. And then you can become lucid. And then you're lucid dreaming. And the world's at your fingertips. I've also heard that it's easier to lucid dream while you're napping in the afternoon, let's say. Or an after dinner nap. Go up where it's quiet in your room somewhere. Lay down. And just say to yourself, I want to have a lucid dream. I want to dream and I want to know that I'm dreaming. Get that frame of mind in your head. Because if you fall asleep wanting to have a lucid dream, you're increasing your chances of having one. Because it's in your mind that you want this to happen. And when you start dreaming, if you're still thinking that you want to dream, you're conscious of the fact that you want to dream, you may actually realize you're dreaming. The other thing is, throughout the day, do a test to see if you're dreaming. Now, you know you're not dreaming when you're awake. When you're dreaming, you don't necessarily know it's a dream, or even if you do know you're dreaming, it's still very hard to tell, and you've got to do a test before you go jumping down any stairwells, and float, trying to fly, because you could kill yourself, because it's very real. So what I do is a jump test, and I told you how to do that. Or you could pinch yourself. Now, throughout the day, you need to be doing these things as well. If you want a lucid dream, you need to do these things in your waking state. So do your jump tests. Just, make sure nobody's around. Pinch yourself. Turn a light switch on and off, because generally, in a dream, the lights won't turn on and off when you flick the switch. They don't work. It doesn't change the brightness. So throughout the day, just flick a switch on and off. Oh yeah, okay, I'm not dreaming. But then, see, what you're doing is you're conditioning yourself, you're creating these habits. Do these things during the day, and then when you're dreaming, you're going to remember to do them in your dreams, and of course, you're going to notice, the light's not going off and on, or it doesn't hurt when I pinch myself. At that point, you can realize that you're having a lucid, or that you could become lucid and control your dream. If the dream seems like it's about to fade off, spin around in the dream. Spin around in circles. 96% of the time that it's supposed to work to keep the dream going. I don't know why. Our brain works in weird ways. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm just telling you that I had this experience for all my life, and the other day, 5 in a row. I thought that I was the king of the world. I just kept having these things over and over again. It really does open up your mind. It really does, make you realize that when you're dreaming, it's a strange thing when you dream. And, get yourself interested in dreaming and learn more about it. It's a beautiful thing. And I find that if I don't dream for any reason, if I don't get enough sleep or my REM sleep is interrupted, I'm not in very good shape. In fact, I feel quite ill if I don't get my proper REM sleep, my proper dreaming. Because dreaming is when your brain really cleans up house and gets rid of all the unwanted scraps lying around and files away all the good stuff that you need. It's like a defragmenting program when you sleep. Well, that's it, guys. Thanks a lot. I'm going to do a video on making this inmate brew. I did one before, but it's kind of buried somewhere and with another video. And actually, I've had some experiences where these didn't work; they failed. And again, as I said, I've come to I've figured out how to not have it fail. It basically has to do with the yeast not having enough nutrient. There's not enough nutrient in the juice that you're using to keep the yeast alive. And I'm going to tell you how to fix all that and make this wonderful 11, 10, 9% homemade wine that you can do in 3 weeks. No chemicals, no equipment needed. It's good stuff. Just be careful. Don't drive. It's potent stuff. Hey, thanks for watching. More brewing videos coming up. Basement's getting reorganized. We're almost there, guys. Just be patient with me. I'm getting there. We're gonna do some mead. Mead is making wine with honey. Very interesting thing I want to get myself into and show you how to do that as well. Okay? See you later.